really our moral vision on how we can build a more just society and applying the gospel to modern like social science, economic science, and political
Hmm.
realities.
Can you give an example or expand on one of those points of how the social
Yeah,
teaching?
so Catholic social teaching, and this is where Pope Leo XIV actually comes in, really huge, because Catholic social teaching really started in the late 1800s with the Industrial Revolution with
Hmm.
Pope Leo XIII. And so Pope Leo XIII is considered the father of modern Catholic social teaching. And this was when the church really said, okay, we have to, make a statement. And so Catholic social teaching, there's like seven really main principles, and it's human dignity, common good, solidarity, subsidiarity, preferential option for the poor, care for creation, which is a bit
Hmm.
newer,
Hmm.
and then our rights and responsibilities. And so this is considered really Catholic social teaching. And so
Hmm.
starting from the Industrial Revolution with Leo XIII, um, it it was built up over time, and especially with popes like Pius XII in like the 19 late 40s, early 50s. Then you had John the 23rd. Paul
Hmm.
the Sixth was really big, and he's the first pope that coined integral human development, which is what I label my work as. And then you had John Paul II, Benedict, and Francis, and they've all added on top of each other. So that
Three balls, two strikes, pressure is on. This is where we discuss real estate, property improvement, and business. Together, we'll strategize on how to win. Welcome to the Full Count. Hey everyone, welcome back to Full Count Podcast. We have a special guest who is in Italy, and we have a lot to ask her about the church and just the overall, lifestyle that's going on in Rome. So, Jules, thank you so much for being here. This is a special day, so please tell us about yourself and what you're up to.
Yeah, well, thanks to you, Andrew. Thanks to you, Nick. Yeah, I'm Jules, as Andrew said, and I'm a dual citizen. So I'm an American that's living in Rome. I moved to
Wow.
Rome in 2016,
Hmm.
and I work out here for the church. And I started my own human development program called We Are a Mission.
Amazing, amazing. And
It
this
is.
program, this is a missionary, right? I believe.
Yeah, so I created this program really in honor of Pope Francis,
Hmm.
and it's as I mentioned, for the promotion of integral human development, which is
Right.
actually a Vatican department, integral human development, and so it basically seeks to implement Catholic social teaching
Mhm.
in the missions in alignment with the global framework.
That's amazing. So are you able to travel too as part of this organization that you have?
Yeah, so I was doing a lot of traveling, different mission countries. So India a couple
Hmm.
of times, the Philippines,
Wow.
East Africa. And then I started my Italian citizenship process. And so the travels were a little bit less, but hopefully they'll be picking back up in January since the citizenship is all finalized.
Right.
So no, that's obviously great that now you're getting your citizenship. As everybody knows, I have mine as well. So we got that going for us. But just to let everybody know, you're originally from Jersey. You're originally from the U.S. But to give everybody a bit of background on what brought you to Rome, what called you there, what called you to pursue humanitarian and missionary work, and led you to where you are now.
Right. So no, it's a good question, and it's the whole really core and root of why I'm out here. So during my freshman year in college at Michigan State in 2013, I was live streaming the Papal Conclave from my computer during my
Hmm.
History of Life class. And when Pope Francis came on the balcony, I just felt the Lord say to me, "Go to Rome and serve this Pope, because the mission of this Pope is going to be the mission of your entire life." So from that moment on in 2013, it was March 13th, I said, all right, I'm going to Rome and I'm going to work for the Vatican one day.
Wow.
And so when I did graduate in 2016, I moved to Rome. And I originally went for a master's in communications because I thought perhaps I would do journalism for the church, because at that point, Pope Francis had actually done a reform of the Vatican communication department. So it was really new in that regard.
Still, when you had this calling to go to Rome, did you so what year exactly was it that you moved to Rome, and did you move by yourself or did your parents go with you? Because you're obviously very young out of college. Don't you weren't you a little bit scared to do this or no?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't because I think when God calls you to do something, you go pretty fearlessly,
Wow. Uh-huh.
without ever thinking twice. So that was me. I was just all in, full send, and I went alone. So I just moved over alone, took a plane. At that time, we were living in San Francisco, and truly have never moved back or looked back.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Fearless leader that you are,
Yeah.
because
yeah,
of the calling.
fearless
That's
leader.
amazing. Yeah.
So all of that, I mean, is amazing that, you went there and was basically just went full force, right? Into vision was. So once, I guess maybe to let everybody know, so once you got there,
Yeah, once I got.
how did you pursue kind of that vision?
So once I arrived there, I went to graduate school, and then completely serendipitously, so that was August 2016, and then in
Hmm.
June 2017, I, as I said, just completely, I mean, a God incident, as you would call it, saw the priest who baptized me in New Jersey about 25 years ago. And I had not seen him for years because
Hmm.
at this point, our family was in California for my dad's work. But he was a very well known family priest to us. My dad was his altar server as a little boy. He married my parents. He baptized both my brother and
Mm.
I. And I said, "Oh my gosh, Father Link, I moved to Rome to follow God, and now I don't really know why I'm here. I just know I'm supposed to be here." So we
Right.
met and we spoke, and when I talked to him, it was the first time in my life I had felt this profound spiritual power of a priest. And I had asked him before he leaves if we could meet one more time because I really
Mm.
wanted to speak with him. And he said, "Absolutely, meet me, here, and we'll get something to eat." But before we got something to eat, he said, "I want to show you my favorite saint because this is the saint that I found my vocation to be a priest through." And so
Mm.
he took me to this saint, Saint Vincent Pallotti, and he's
Hmm.
in, he's an incorruptible saint, so it means his body never decomposed, and there's
Oh
not many
wow.
saints like that. And
Yeah.
so when
Uh-huh.
I went to see him, I call that my conversion moment because from that moment on, it was June 8th, 2017. I started
Mm.
going to daily mass, daily adoration, daily rosary, and just at that point, I knew that whatever God was calling me to in Rome, it was going to be through this saint. And
That's amazing.
then
Wow.
as I said, it really is through divine providence and God's providence that it transitioned into
Mm.
mission work because I was, even though my call was to follow Pope Francis, I didn't know it would be in the missionary line. And then
Mhm.
just by going to church, I met with the at that point the superior general of the Palatine congregation, and he was a very mission minded um, priest. And
Mm.
he said, "I think you should go to India and take a trip because it will change your life." And sure enough, that was a few months later. I went to India, and that was when my work, I would say really started because I had just finished. It was a year and a half in, so I just finished my graduate school.
I can't
Oh,
believe
that's
you had that
amazing.
ability to just get up and go and move places just because of your of the calling. I mean, it's so powerful to
Yeah.
think. A lot of people would also say, or maybe not a lot of people, but some people would say, is that a coincidence that you just happen to see the priest? But I don't think so, right? I mean,
I don't
there
know.
must have been
No,
something
not at
lining up
all.
for you.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's all divine providence. All divine
Yeah.
providence.
Hmm.
So just for, people that don't know or in a like Catholic background, right? So Saint Vincent Pallotti, what is he the saint of? Like, what's his?
Yeah, so Saint Vincent Pallotti, he was a Roman-born saint. He was born in 1795. He died in
Mhm.
1850, and he was really a very mystical man, but he was
Mm.
also very, very mission-minded. And
Hmm.
in the 1800s, he was actually very much a promoter of the laity and lay involvement in the church. And during
Mm.
that time, it was so rare. I mean, we think it's very common today for lay activity, but back
Right.
then, lay people were not really, involved in the sense of what we're able to do for the church and with the church. And so
Hmm.
he's called the forerunner to Vatican II. And I believe
Mm.
he's one of the patrons as well of Vatican II. But actually, He is the patron of the Pontifical Missionary Union, just because of his
Yeah.
missionary spirituality. So again, when we speak about following God's call, the fact that I went to the missions and I found this saint and he's the patron of the pontifical missions, all of these different things add up before you can see the whole picture. I
Mm.
think
Hmm.
God kind of starts to paint it before, and then you see the whole portrait
Oh, without
later.
a doubt.
And I think I
Right.
saw that he also stayed in Rome his entire time.
Yeah, he was in Rome his entire time.
Wow. And
Never
that's
left.
kind of what you're doing in terms of like you making your life there, staying there,
Right.
traveling,
Yes.
but staying there. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So
Right.
I see. I think it's very important sometimes in career, whatever you're doing. I see a lot of people, they like to kind of, have some guidance or mirror someone that they look up to. And this is
Yes.
the person that you look up to, right? Of
Yeah.
course.
Big time.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Hmm. So you did. So you went on this mission trip in India, right? And
Yes.
then kind of what happened after that?
Yeah, so on this mission trip in India, I thought I was going to a hotel. I wasn't
Hmm.
going to a hotel. I
Oh,
I was
no.
going to the slums. I did not know that. I just, I don't. I mean, I look back and I should have known, but I just remember I landed and the air pollution was so bad. I landed in New Delhi and I was dying. I'm like, whoa, this is tough. And I had asked if, the priest had picked me up. I said, where are we going? And
Hmm.
he's like, "Oh, we're gonna go to the church." I said, "Okay." It's not the hotel, but okay. And then I found out I was staying really in the biggest slum in New Delhi, or the biggest
Dang.
unrecognized slum in New
Mm.
Delhi, and it was just absolutely life changing. It was from the minute I got there, I fell in love with it, and it just felt like a natural. Amazingly, New Delhi to me felt like a natural third home in
Mm.
the
Mm.
craziest sense of the way. And one of the first things I did when I had gone to the school and I saw the kids and they just love you. And I had never experienced that. And
Mm.
I was so taken aback because, as I said, this was the biggest slum. And these kids just, they were trying to share their lunch with me and trying to share, just like a
How
hair
cool.
clip. And it was so touching because you knew they didn't have anything,
Hmm.
but they're trying
Mhm.
to give you what they had. And so that moved me, and then I had, met just some of the people that had lived in the surrounding areas, and I had met a mother and her husband just passed away and she couldn't afford all of
Mhm.
her children, so she had
Mhm.
to give one child up, and
Jeez.
their
Oh my
house was
gosh.
like the size of a shoebox, right? They all slept on one bed, the mom and her 3 kids, because the 4th one she had to send, um, I guess, to work, or and so all of a sudden this completely new world had opened up to me that I did not know um, existed. And then you realize that it's actually not the majority of the world, right? But so much of the world
Mhm.
is like that. And the trip was about 3 weeks. So I had traveled to all different, from north to south India, and just saw the different realities
Hmm.
of poverty.
Mhm.
So I was really struck when I came home to do missionary communication, right? And start by just spreading the word about the missions and doing news, and not necessarily so much development work, but just spreading what
Mhm.
actually goes on in these missions and how these really heroic fathers and sisters give their lives
Yeah.
How did
serve
you
them.
grasp with that though? Because I feel like a lot of people that when they encounter something new but also dark, it's the slums in New Delhi. There's a lot of sadness that can overcome you, or there could be some other emotion. But how did you get through that? I would understand it's through God, but can you give the audience an understanding of what you went through and how you were able to, I don't know, cope with it and just move forward and still feel optimistic with your missionary work?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And to be honest, one of the toughest ones for me was
Hmm.
actually, so I had gone to India a year later again. And this time I had gone with a couple priests from work. So the one I did work with, the Father General, and then his secretary. And we had gone this time to the foothills of the Himalayas. And this one struck me particularly hard
Mhm.
because it was a mission. It was like a city, but you're in the foothills of the Himalayas, and the poverty was just it was just like, it just really hit me because you would drive through these mountain roads and you'd see these babies on the corner of like these hairpin curves, right, without any clothes on. And I mean, heaven forbid this car made one slight error, right? That baby. And I was really taken aback, and it was dark, and we arrived at night, and I had to get ready to go somewhere. I really couldn't leave my room. I was just crying and crying, and um, like trying to wash my face. So I didn't have these tears on my face. And when I walked out, I said, I'm sorry, I can't go to the opening. Like I am a wreck. And the priest had said to me, he said, look at their faces. And so I did. And he said, are they smiling? And I said, yeah, they're all smiling. And he said, see, he said, they don't know, or
Yeah.
and just they were all smiling. Everyone there was smiling, and it was me who was just in shambles.
Right.
Um, and that was actually how I got through it, because otherwise,
Mhm.
it's just too hard.
Yeah.
And you do, I think, very naturally feel a guilt, especially when you come back home.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah,
why do
because
I
Mhm.
uh,
get to do this? But to me, I have to turn it into motivation, right? If
mm-hmm.
I'm
Mhm.
given this blessing to have this position, then I just say I have to work even harder for the Lord,
Mhm.
because that's the only way I can feel that worthy, right? To
Yeah.
and not worthy, right? Because we're never worthy of anything. But that to me was something that just helped me get through it.
Either from that story too, kind of tying it back to like the everyday life of a person that's going through something that is either new and a little bit overwhelming, right? Like what you encountered there. Is he mentioned to look at their faces, and it's kind of like when you're doing a presentation, you're kind of it's best to just look at certain people's faces when you're doing this presentation, so you don't feel this overwhelming anxiety, I guess you could say. But the people that you were speaking to, they don't know what they don't know, so I really
Mhm.
felt like that was quite a good strategy for him to kind of lead you through it, to kind of get out of your place and actually go out there and do
Right.
missionary work.
I agree
Yeah.
completely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Without a doubt. I mean, Jules, you and I talk about that all the time, right? I mean, when somebody's talking about something, or you're presenting to somebody, or even if somebody's giving you advice about something, right? I mean, they don't know what they don't know, right?
Right.
Or if you're
Right.
looking to do something and pursue something,
Mm-hmm.
you don't know what you don't know, right? So just
Right.
kind of
Absolutely.
based on what you know and push forward.
And with
Um,
that said too, just to
yeah.
ask you another thing in regards to your missionary work overseas, where it's not in Rome, where you actually have more security, I would imagine. Is there any secure, like actual physical security that they have for you? Because I can only imagine in certain environments, people may not look to missionary work, whether it's through Catholicism or some other religion, as a positive thing. So how do you guys approach that situation as you're doing this? Because it could be very dangerous, from what I understand.
Yeah, it can be. And I know there's no extra security. We
Wow.
just go.
Oh my gosh. Really?
Yeah,
Oof. That's
really.
rough. That's
No Secret
great though.
Service, no
No,
CIA agents,
not yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. I cannot I couldn't fathom that. So I mean I kudos to you for doing stuff like that. So yeah, no, this is really great, and
Mhm.
I wish there was more people like yourself. And I know you mentioned the organization already, but can you name it again? We Are a Mission, I think it was.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I started an organization called We Are a Mission, and it really
Okay.
seeks to promote Catholic social teaching,
Mm-hmm.
um, to teach Catholic social teaching to the missionaries. And I guess to tie back into my mission work is what started to happen after these mission trips. Maybe a couple in. I would ask, okay, well, how do you sustain yourself? And then
Mhm.
you would see that it's really more of a hand to mouth, like sustaining, because
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes, so there's two types of missions, you can say. There's some missions that say they're still run by a European province. So
Mhm.
at least where I work, right? Sometimes a lot of Polish missionaries are in Africa. So then some of these missions are a little bit more developed just because they have the groundwork. And then other missions,
Mm-hmm.
as they grow, they have to start, like, they don't have the knowledge of of like say like a Western sort of economy or how it works. And so these
Hmm.
priests, I would notice that these priests, they would, once they're ordained, then they would just be sent to a mission, and they would
Mm.
be expected to run the mission, to build up the mission, to get funding for the mission without really any background in how that works. And that was when I said, okay, I think that's where it needs to change.
Mm.
Um, and it's not about doing it for them. It's about teaching them how to do it, right? Giving them the platform and the education to do it. And so that was when I started to implement, project writing and project management,
Hmm.
and kind of like financial literacy, right? Some awareness of how to do a budget. Um,
So these are lessons that you teach through your organization
yeah, so
then?
I just finished up like a 3 session course on project
Hmm.
writing with a group of sisters in India, and it's it's now right now there's like the addition of artificial intelligence. So you kind of teach them how to do different prompts to write in to make an
Oh, I
AI.
see. I see. So you
Mm.
equip in this case the sisters to understand how to utilize AI, and then do they
Yeah, to
also? So
write a
you,
project proposal.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, to write like a project proposal.
Okay, to write a project proposal so that they can also be more efficient in what they're doing as well. But do you know if, for example, in this scenario, maybe another scenario, the group of people you're teaching, are they able to also teach the communities that they're in? For example, in New Delhi, I'm sure they don't have computers there, some of them, but or many of them. But would that be something you'd be able to help them to kind of adopt the new technology that's going on? Is that kind of what's going on?
Right, and
Yeah.
that's sort of like the mission, like the aim is
Mm-hmm.
to be able to teach them and to go there. And now that I can travel, because it's very difficult to do these things on Zoom, but to go in and to travel and kind of just do a hands-on experience, right? Like,
Right.
what is a project that you need, right? Kind of that subsidiarity concept. Start local, and then work with that project in mind. Implement like a 3 session course on okay, and so the courses are again based on Catholic social teaching and then international relations, right? So make them aware of the international framework,
Wow. Yeah.
because
Hmm.
it's one thing to write a proposal, and it's one thing to understand, okay, what are our moral duties as,
Right.
Catholics, but also how does that fit into the wider world, and so about the United Nations, and kind of tie these
Hmm.
things together, to teach
Hmm.
them, um, just
Which
kind of.
which they might not be as aware of, right, and plugged into.
No, they're
Of
not, and
course. Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's yeah, because I think the missions, right? They can be real actors in global governance and global
Hmm.
development, but it's a matter of doing that. But that comes through education, right? You need to know the system and how it works,
Right.
and it's not just about giving money or funding the missions. It's really about developing the missions, and I think that's where the Catholic social teaching comes in,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
Catholic social teaching is actually I think it's a hidden treasure of the church, but it's really our moral vision on how we can build a more just society, and applying the gospel to modern like social science, economic science, and political
Hmm.
realities.
Can you give an example or expand on one of those points of how the social
Yeah,
teaching?
so Catholic social teaching, and this is where Pope Leo XIV actually comes in, really huge, because Catholic social teaching really started in the late 1800s with the Industrial Revolution with
Hmm.
Pope Leo XIII. And so Pope Leo XIII is considered the father of modern Catholic social teaching. And this was when the church really said, okay, we have to, make a statement. And so Catholic social teaching, there's like 7 really main principles, and it's human dignity, common good, solidarity, subsidiarity, preferential option for the poor, care for creation, which is a bit
Hmm.
newer,
Hmm.
and then our rights and responsibilities. And so this is considered really Catholic social teaching. And so
Mm.
starting from the Industrial Revolution with Leo XIII, um, it it was built up over time, and especially with popes like Pius XII in like the 19 late 40s, early 50s. Then you had John the 23rd.
Hmm.
Paul the Sixth was really big, and he's the first pope that coined integral human development, which is what I label my work as. And then you had John Paul II, Benedict, and Francis, and they've all added on top of each other. So that's Catholic social teaching.
I
And
see.
Leo the 14th picked the name Leo. Um, One of the main reasons is because of Pope Leo the 13th, because our Leo today believes that artificial intelligence is like our new industrial revolution.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's now important more than ever to focus on how the gospel applies to this and a more
Right.
just society when we're in really this moment
Right.
that
I saw he was concerned with AI, but concerned, but at the same time, he understands that it's part of the progression of society with technology, right? Like you were saying,
Yeah.
the Industrial Revolution was something discussed at some point before, too. So this is the new thing, AI. And I saw that he was a little concerned about AI, with human dignity being an issue and labor.
right.
Could you kind of expand on what his thoughts might be on that, if that's something you've looked into, of how he is going to help people to overcome that, or someone like yourself with your mission, like what is something that you can do to improve, I guess, with
Yeah.
this technology?
Right. And I think that's the most interesting thing. And I know it's Pope Francis said the internet is a gift from God. And I think that's so incredibly true because without, I mean, even for me as, say, an independent missionary, what I'm able to do with AI truly in the last year is, or what I'm able to do is now possible with AI. I would not be able to work at the speed I'm working with
I see.
without it. So I think it's just a
Mm-hmm.
matter of how can we integrate it because the church, right, is the torch and the seer of truth. And so more than any place really in the world, um, you you have to just always have truth. And so I don't know. I mean, I don't think any of us know what it will look like, but in terms of the
Mm-hmm.
missions, it can help instrumentally, right? When writing proposals or all sorts of different things. But
Right.
at the same time, too, it's something I remind myself as, right? The whole mission, right, of the Lord is the poorest of the poor and the
Mm-hmm.
preferential option. And so no matter how advanced technology gets, when you go into these places and you see the reality, it's at least for me, I always remind myself, right? It's just like boots on the ground and it's
Right.
helping one person at a time in front of you. And that mission is always going to be there no matter what, right? Because there's always
Mm-hmm.
going to be someone who's suffering, who's so
Right. What do you see the balance being between, AI and technology as it's advancing and emerging to keeping that human touch? Because I know that was a big thing and something Pope Leo mentioned as well, right? What do you see that balance being and, going forward?
I think the balance is always you have to it's a good question. To me, the balance is, and I think we can get very also for me as well, you can
Mhm.
forget what it's like to just touch the flesh of Christ. And
Right.
um, even if you just walk outside your apartment door and you see a homeless person and you say hi, right? All of a sudden, your entire day has changed. And I think
Mm.
that's the whole, um,
So staying in touch with on a human level,
yeah,
being able
just touch.
to
Yeah,
help, yeah, the person in front of you versus trying to hit the masses because you have the internet and AI to do that for you. You're
right. And
basically
I think
saying to
that's
Mhm.
roll
what,
it back. I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, we always have to remember it's don't get too caught up, right? Don't lose sight
Hmm.
of
Okay.
what's really impossible of what we're really called to do. And that's, your brother and your sister. And
Mhm.
we're responsible, right? We're going to be called to ask for what we did to them. So
Right. Okay.
Without a doubt, 100%.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you noticed, but while you were talking about your organization and the 7 o'clock church bells going in the background,
yeah,
couldn't hear any other
there they
background noise, but that came on loud and clear.
go. Loud and clear.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
Um,
too, what are you seeing in terms of like what are the main differences between Rome or Italy in general versus the United States that uh, has spoken really loud to you in terms of you being there now, living there? Like, what can you describe?
Well, Nicholas can also describe a lot, a lot of
Yeah.
what is crazy here and what just doesn't make sense here. Um, it's so for me, it's a right, and I know Nick, you'll definitely have to come in with your take on it as well. To
Mhm.
me, it's the lifestyle here that
Right.
I that is my home and my heart. Um,
Hmm.
because right, I go to daily mass, I go to daily adoration. So for me, as a lay person that loves the church and works for the church, Rome is the place to
Mhm.
be because there's always a mass going on. So I can just walk out of my door and there's a mass. And if I miss that mass, there's another mass. And if I miss that, there's another one. So for me, it's a
Mhm.
matter of the lifestyle and that ability to constantly be able to go in a position where you can transcend reality. Because I do believe if we just take at least one night a week, right, to go to prayer,
Right.
I mean, that's what changes our hearts and that's what eventually would change the world. So to me, it's the lifestyle here. But of
Mhm.
course, the conveniences of the States and just the ease of being able to do things, and quite frankly, the economy. And if you want to start a business, you can be an entrepreneur. And being an entrepreneur out here is, I think, borderline impossible. And so
In
I'm
Rome.
thrilled that I have this, right, the US base, because being born in the United States, I think you're born, it's an innate feature within us where we are going to do the impossible and no one's going to
Right.
tell us no. And if we want to start a business, we'll start a business. If we want to make
Mhm.
money, we'll make money. And that's it. And then when you come here, that sort of mentality, it's not here. And
Yeah.
quite frankly, I can understand why, because to
Right.
me, I don't think there's a framework for it. It's just not
And
not what
framework
we're used
in
to.
people's mindset, or what exactly? Because wouldn't it give you kind of like an upper hand to have that mindset to start a business in Rome? Don't you have an upper hand just because of the mindset, or is the way everything's structured there a lot more difficult to start a company
I
or
think
entrepreneurship?
Nick would probably answer this better than I.
Okay.
I mean, I would say that it has a little bit of both, right? So, I mean, the mindset is okay, you have people that are more living life focused, right?
Right.
And just
Right.
enjoying life and not necessarily, wanting they have they have a drive to pursue, right? But it's more about just going with what life brings, right? But I think the bigger blocker, and I think this is probably where you and I would agree, is more the infrastructure, the political bureaucratic
Mm,
system,
Yeah,
and that those blockers there, right? Because I don't think that the economy there is, and I mean, like I said, the political system, everything else tied to it is built for that. I mean, it's you try to get anything done,
right.
it just takes forever. I mean,
yeah.
it's taken you, Jules, how many years now to not only get your citizenship but residency and permanent stay and everything else related to it, right?
Wild.
I mean, yeah, you have to go and run around to 10, 15 different offices and get this piece of paper, that document, this
I
document, just to
see.
get something done.
Okay. So that's where that structure missing structure is there. I got it.
Exactly.
And the
Exactly.
urgency is not there either, which makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
But because
Yeah.
everyone's more wrapped around, and I'm speaking only from what I think I heard from you and from my experiences in Rome, um, the in the moment, enjoying the life in general, and it's a slower pace, and then the community revolves around the church, right? And I feel
Mhm.
like in certain parts of the country, especially more like rural towns, things may evolve around a particular church, but more so like a football stadium. So that's kind of I think what like Rome has is everybody's kind of more integrated with the church for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I think unfortunately it's not actually a big difference to me is the difference in, I think, there is such, especially in the United States, I think the young people are very, very animated. And I think you will see a very large, I mean, I know a report just came out, I guess last week,
Hmm.
that for the first time, Gen Z is like outpacing, right? The boomer generation in going to mass for the first time in
Mhm.
history. that a
Right.
younger generation would outpace their senior. But so unfortunately in Italy, there's definitely a dip in the faith. It's not.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Um,
interesting. I didn't
it's
know that.
it's so, and this is the structure is here, so it's ingrained in them because it's a Catholic. It's ingrained the life of the church, but in terms of the activity and the action of the church, they definitely need a revival. And
Mm,
I think, and it will all right. The pendulum always shifts
Yeah.
back, and it will come, I'm sure. But in terms of when I look to the United States, the faith is like I see a very big movement, and I think a lot of people do. And
Right.
and I'm hoping that that will transition back over here to the young people because it's not the same.
right.
Um,
What can
but
Italy do to get people back more in the faith out there in particular?
that's I think it comes down
Yeah.
to just it's just like it's just the beauty. I think
Mhm.
to me, I think you just have to go to. I know it sounds this may just go to mass. Just see the
Mhm.
beauty in it. I mean, when you go
Mhm.
to these churches and they're magnificent, right? That's it's they have I don't know, it's a good question because for us from the outside and we see these magnificent churches,
Right.
um,
Is there
so
a
I didn't
sense
answer that.
of pride in the country though that people have? I mean, I've been seeing the new prime minister. Um, she's been kind of on top of bringing pride back to the country. I feel like. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I don't know too much. I don't follow too much of the politics per se here. I mean,
Okay.
of course I follow it,
Mhm.
but I wouldn't be an expert to speak on it or
Okay.
what the sentiments are of the Roman people.
Mhm.
I think Nick,
Yeah.
you had some thoughts on that though, right?
Yeah. I mean, so Maloney's definitely a character for sure, and I think it's either the people hate her or they love her. I think it's been. I mean, you tell me. I mean, you're obviously there, but I think it's been a good mix between the love hate relationship.
Well,
Um,
she's yeah, but she's the longest. I think she's like this. She just maybe 2 weeks ago, like the second longest serving prime minister. I think.
oh, okay. I didn't
Oh
know that.
wow,
Yeah,
Interesting.
she
that's
hit a
crazy.
milestone. Yeah,
Okay, she's gained popularity
yeah,
then for
she's
sure.
the most powerful woman in Europe.
Look at that. And I mean, she's met Trump a couple times, right?
Yes.
Yeah, mini
So
leaders, mini leaders.
yeah, sort of. Jules is from New Jersey. I'm from New York. Um, Jules, as far as baseball goes, who do you follow, or what fan do you say
Red
of what team?
Sox.
Red
Day
Sox.
one
Yep.
Red Sox.
All right.
That's
And as we
interesting.
all
Why Red
know,
Sox though? Because I feel like Jersey people tend to go for the Mets. Or no? Am I
yeah.
mistaken?
Well, I'm South Jersey, so we tend to go
Mhm.
for the Phils. But
Oh,
my grandpa was a huge Ted Williams fan. He
oh yeah,
loved Ted Williams,
Mhm.
and so growing up,
yeah.
that was just our baseball team. He had all Ted Williams memorabilia in the garage, and actually, so when he passed away, I there were a couple Red Sox things I wanted, and one of the things was his Ted Williams hat. It's just like a
Mm.
nine, so that's why I'm a Red Sox fan.
That's amazing. What do you mean by a Ted Williams hat though? Like a signed autograph, or
It's just
does
a
it?
baseball hat. It's a baseball hat,
Okay.
but it has the number 9 on it.
Oh, number nine.
Number
Yes,
nine.
yes.
Yeah.
He is probably one of the most prominent figures in baseball besides like Babe Ruth because he was one of the
Hmm.
best hitters. And by the way, when I played high school and a little bit of college baseball, he had like some tips of how to hit a baseball and not be in a slump, like how to get out of a slump. And I would write it down on a note card and I would have
No
it in my
way.
wallet. Yeah, and I would reflect back to it to stay on
Look
top
at
of
that.
being a good hitter. And I was a pretty good hitter because of those tips. But the other thing about him, because he was like a more of like a figure that would give advice that would actually work for players. But he also, as you probably already know, was a World War II fighter pilot that would go off to war,
Yeah.
come
Mhm.
back and play and still kill it. So that's pretty cool that you're a Red Sox fan, even though Nick and I are both Yankee fans and we don't really like the Red Sox. But that's where the cool rivalry is at.
Yeah.
That's right. And Ted is in your cover photo.
Yes,
for
he
full count
is. He is.
Yeah.
That's
in his uniform.
You caught that. A
Hmm.
lot of people have not noticed
Uniform.
that, but he's one of the guys I do like the most. He also started this book about I think it was him about fundamentals of hitting, and Warren Buffett adopted that graph into investing, the fundamentals of
Oh, that's
investing.
really interesting.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, so it's very very cool. But yeah, so just to tie things back to Jersey and New York, I mean, what are some of the things that are quite different between the two?
Touchdown. Where
You
do we
go first
start?
on that one.
Go ahead, Jules. What do you think?
You go first.
I mean,
Actually, I'm technically from Brooklyn in a sense. My
yeah,
grandmother,
yeah,
right? So
right,
I'm New York first, and then Jersey.
right, and then migrated. There you go. There you
Migrated
go.
to the
Wow.
Golden Land.
I know. I know. No, I think it's more mentality, really. But I mean, it's so mixed now. There's been so many people that have moved from New York
Back
to
and
New
forth.
Jersey, and yeah,
Right.
and then elsewhere, right? So I think it's very similar now. I think there's always been a little bit of a feud, New Yorkers are like, oh, you're from Jersey, dirty Jersey. For all those people in Jersey, I'm gonna get hate mail now. But no, I think it's very similar, especially being Italian American descent. It's one and the same,
Okay.
right? But just so on that note, right, with the new New York City mayor,
Jules, what can you say, even if it's like one sentence? Because we got your
yeah,
take, Jules. I mean, Nick, but we didn't get Jules's take.
sure,
I think he covered it well.
Okay. Okay. So it's about the same. Yeah. Now
yeah,
go ahead about whatever you were going to ask, Nick.
okay, all right, yeah. So just on that note, with the new New York City mayor, that a lot of people who are not happy with, apparently, from what I've been seeing. Do you think, Jules, that a lot of people are going to be leaving New York and going to New Jersey, or do you think they're really going to go to Florida and elsewhere?
I'm kind of leaning thinking towards Florida, right? Because New Jersey, they
Yeah.
just elected another Democratic governor. So, and
Mm,
if I
mhm.
believe, like decently, like with a decent margin, I don't think it was as close as perhaps it was expected. It might
Right.
be. So
Hmm.
I'm kind of thinking Florida or
Yeah. Yeah. That's unfortunate. The real estate prices here are probably going to start to skyrocket. So,
yeah,
Oh yeah, it's going to
probably.
definitely start in Florida. Is going to tick up. I don't know how much of a mass exodus there'll be, but it's
right.
they're saying that there might be. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. But a lot of
Yeah.
people like him, though. I mean, a lot of people in New York do like him, and I think there's going to be
Right.
a migration of people to New York for that reason too.
You think so? Interesting.
I think a lot of young people
Okay.
are going to start moving there. People that
Okay.
may not have their careers all set up the way they want it to be, and they're going to go there
Right.
for some freebies,
Ah, okay.
right?
Okay.
So I think it's going
So
to be a different effect.
what was that statistic? And it was 48% of New York pays the top.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
I forget it, but
I
it was
think it
I
like
was,
uh-huh.
yeah, it was something around the 40%, somewhere in the 40s
48%
percentage. Yeah.
of
That's actually a good question.
yeah.
Let's see.
You mean
It was a really
the top? I think I don't know the stat because I haven't looked into it. Me not being in New York or from there, but I think it must be a small fraction of the of people with high incomes that are paying the majority of taxes. Kind of
The
like
taxes,
yeah,
yeah.
48% of them.
right,
It was
Hmm.
like the top
right.
1%. Yeah, this is
That's what it
what
is.
the top
Yep.
1% pays 48% of the taxes.
The
Right.
taxes.
So
Yep.
I think there's going to be a mass migration out because
Hmm.
I do.
Hmm.
I
No,
would.
I don't
Yeah.
disagree. I do agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. I know a lot of the big name realtors, or I've heard a lot of the big name realtors like down here are getting calls uh viewings and that kind of stuff from people up there. So
Yeah, there's also been
we'll see.
I've seen that a lot of parents immediately are taking their children out of private schools as well, out of New York.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what
Right.
happens in New York.
All right. Yeah. Keep everybody posted on that one. But all right. So on the real estate front, Andrew, you want to
Yes.
rapid
Okay.
fire some
So
questions to Jules?
Yes, we'll do some
Great.
rapid fire housing questions, but first, what I like to do is ask my guest, which is you, Jules, a question that you can leave for the next guest without you knowing who that person is. I don't think Nick and I even know who our next guest will be, but we always
Mhm.
want to leave them with the question and answer. It kind of makes it fun. So I'm going to ask you, but first I'm going to ask you a question from my last guest, who was who is an investigative reporter, and his question to you is. What are you doing for the next year or two that is going to set you apart from who you were 2 or 3 years ago?
That's a good question. Wow, that's deep. This
Mm-hmm.
is, um,
Give you a minute too, because I know it could be tough. I mean, like, what are you doing to attain whatever goals you're going for, essentially, in the next small amount of time?
I think you know this. We talk about it
yeah,
all the
I do
time.
know this, but I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think like just do the hard things, right? I just want to do the hard things, and if it's hard, I want to do it and do what I don't want to do, and just constantly push. I think it's just this constant drive,
Mm-hmm.
just a constant drive forward. And I would have a plan, but that's a little bit more complicated. But I think it's just constantly doing the hard things and constantly grinding it out and constantly persevering
Right.
and
Mhm.
kind of a nothing to lose mentality. That's kind of the point I've reached. It's just there is nothing to lose, and
Nothing to
if you
lose.
work hard
Nice.
enough, if you work hard enough, you will get it. But you just can't give up.
Right. I love that. I love that. Nick, you got to get inspired by that, man.
Yeah.
Funny. No, I agree. 110%. Have
Yeah.
to.
All right.
Without a doubt.
So, what about? Okay, that was great. I mean, like you can't have a backup plan. You're just all in, which is cool.
Right.
Well, now, what is a question that you would want to leave for our next guest?
Mm. I guess what is one thing you're proud of?
Okay. Okay. Cool. All right, we will be asking that next person that and see what they say.
Okay.
It's been quite cool because when I initially started that, I thought it was going to be more of a fun or like not lame, but just very generic. Like, what's your favorite pizza? But everybody I've asked has made everything very philosophical, and it's been very interesting to see that because I didn't expect that. And I think we've done this with like 5 other guests, and everything's very philosophical, nothing basic. So
Mhm.
kudos to you too for doing that.
Well,
Uh,
kudos to who you have on the show.
thank you, thank
Yeah.
you. All right, we're gonna get into rapid fire real estate questions now. So I'm gonna ask you a question, and you just blurt out whatever answer it is between the two options I give you. So,
Okay.
would you rather have a Spanish home or a contemporary home, architecture wise?
Spanish.
Spanish. Um, a New Jersey mansion or owning an apartment in Rome?
Owning an apartment in Rome.
Okay. City view or ocean view?
Ooh, ocean.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, would you want to have an in-house gym or a podcast studio or some type of studio
Gym.
gym? All right, great. Well, we appreciate you being on the podcast. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you for sharing your missionary work. If you want to go ahead and leave the website name so we can put it on display, we can do that so
Mhm.
people can follow you and
Okay.
check it out.
All right. Well, no, thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on.
Oh,
All
and
right.
Yeah,
what's
thanks.
what's the name again and the website?
It's called We Are Mission. WeAreMission.com.
Okay. How about Instagram?
Yes, I do have an Instagram. Same thing. We Are a Mission. Facebook. We Are a Mission.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, thank you
Mhm.
so much, Jules. It's been a pleasure, and we'll catch up and see how everything's going in the next 2 or 3 years. At least we'll check it out.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.